are the pair of male reproductive organs present in the scrotal sac, and these are suspended by the spermatic cords. And left testis is a little bit lower, 1 centimeter is a little bit lower than the right testis, because it first descends from the abdomen and towards the scrotal sac. That is why we have the left testis little bit lower. And the direction of the testis is, it is obliquely placed, and its length is 5 centimeters average, and its breadth is 2.5 centimeters and thickness is 3 centimeters, and weight usually varies between 10 to 14 grams. And if you observe here, the parts of these testes are, you have an upper pole and the lower pole, and you have an anterior border and a posterior border, and it has two surfaces, medial surface and lateral surface. Coming to the upper pole and lower pole, how to identify which one is upper and lower pole is, I have taken the right side here of the testis. The upper pole is overlapped by the head of the epididymis. You can see this is the epididymis here, head of the epididymis, and this is body of the epididymis and tail, and further it continues as the spermatic cord. So from the upper pole, the testis is suspended by the spermatic cord, not only that, overlapped by the head of the epididymis. And you also can see small testis, appendix of the testis is there in the upper pole. That is a remnant of the paramesonephric duct, remnant of paramesonephric duct. So that is how we can identify the upper pole and lower pole. And coming to the anterior border and posterior border, anterior border is convex and smooth, even the posterior border also, but we have the body of the epididymis. You can see this is the body of the epididymis on the posterior aspect, posterior border, little bit to the lateral side. Not only the epididymis, body of the epididymis we see. You have between the medial and lateral surface also flat and convex, and on the lateral surface is convex also, but near to the posterior border you have the body of the epididymis will be lying, and this testis and epididymis is separated by a sinus, a recess of the vaginal sac here. This one, this is the sinus, we call it as the sinus, this one. The sinus is placed laterally, so that is how we can differentiate the medial surface and the lateral surface, by seeing the sinus of the epididymis. You can see on the medial side, the other side of the testis, you don't see the sinus, so that is on the medial side. If it is on the lateral side, you can observe here, I will show you this one. So this is the sinus of the epididymis, this one. This is the sinus of epididymis placed laterally, not on the medial side. Medial side is normal, whereas on the lateral side you can see the sinus, that too posterolaterally. So this is how we can determine side determination, whether it is right or left. So anterior border is, see the anterior and posterior border, the one which is having the epididymis, that should be placed posteriorly, and see the upper and lower pole. The upper pole will be hanging by the or suspended by the spermatic cord, lower pole is free. Coming to the medial and lateral surface, as I already told you, on the lateral surface we have the sinus of epididymis. So that is how we can identify the right or the left. So this is the right side testis. We can see on the lateral side is the sinus of the epididymis. So these are the parts of the testis, and coverings of the testis are, we have internal coverings are there and external coverings are there. External coverings are nothing but the coverings of the scrotum itself. I'll show you the structures here. We have the, I'll show you in this one. See here, this is the external coverings of the testis. That means they are the coverings of the scrotum also. So outer aspect you have the from the skin superficial fascia, also called dartus muscle, and here lies the external spermatic fascia. External spermatic fascia, and deep to that you can see muscle fibers going on. That is the cremastic muscle and the cremastic fascia. And little bit deeper you can see a fascia called as the internal spermatic fascia. Internal spermatic fascia. So external spermatic fascia is a continuation of the external oblique muscle. Cremastic muscle and the cremasteric fascia is nothing but the continuation of the internal oblique. Few books giving it as a transverse abdominis also, whereas internal spermatic fascia is a continuation of the fascia transversalis. These are the outer coverings of the testis, and inner coverings are outer coverings. Along with that one, we have the parietal layer of the vaginal sac. The parietal layer of vaginal sac, it closely invests the internal spermatic fascia. So this is a vaginal sac. So vaginal sac, it is having parietal layer and visceral layer. So the visceral layer closely invests the testis. So inner aspect of the visceral layer, it has attachment with the tunica albuginea. Tunica albuginea, it is a tough fibrous membrane. You can see this is a tough fibrous membrane, tunica albuginea. And deep to that, if you observe, you can see the tunica vasculosa. We have vessels, you can see this is the tunica vasculosa, these structures supplying the each lobule of the testis. So you have tunica vasculosa in the inside, and middle is tunica albuginea, and outside is visceral layer of tunica vaginalis, and this is a vaginal sac, and this is a parietal layer of process vaginalis, and the internal spermatic fascia. You have cremasteric fascia and external spermatic fascia, and over that is a dartos and skin. So these are the coverings of the testis. And coming to the structure of the testis, as you have seen this testis here, posterior border, you have tunica albuginea is there. So this tunica albuginea on the posterior border, it is thickened. It is called as the mediastinum testis on the posterior border. You have the mediastinum testis on the posterior border. From there, septa will be arising towards the substance of the testis, so that each testis is having 200 to 300 lobules will be there, and each lobule will be having 1, 2, 3 seminiferous tubules will be seen. So seminiferous tubule is it is having spermatogonia, so that sperms will be produced there. So this sperms, through these seminiferous tubules, the seminiferous tubules finally they end as the mediastinum testis. They form a plexus, we call them as rete testis, and this rete testis, what happens is it finally enters as into the epididymis, head of the epididymis, as the efferent ductules. So these efferent ductules 12 to 20 will be there. From there they form a single duct, joined to form a single duct, and it is highly coiled in the epididymis. So if you take a section of the epididymis, we think that it is having number of ductules, but actually it is a single duct highly coiled, and that single duct present in the epididymis continues as the vas deferens or the ductus deferens. So this is the structure of the testis inside. And coming to the arterial supply, it is supplied by the testicular artery on either side. So testicular artery is a branch from the abdominal aorta, and it comes along with the spermatic cord, content of the spermatic cord. Sometimes it may be supplied by the cremasteric artery and artery to the vas deferens also. And venous drainage is, they arise as a number of veins, 15 to 20 venules they arise from the testis, and each venule, all the 15 to 20, when they reach the, if you observe here, when they reach the spermatic superficial inguinal ring, they form 4 veins, and from there when they reach the deep inguinal ring, they form the 2, and when they enter into the anterior abdominal wall, they form the single testicular vein. If it is on the right side, they drain into the inferior vena cava. If it is on the left side, they drain into the left renal vein, and finally drains into the inferior vena cava. So that is about the venous drainage. Whereas lymphatic drainage is, it drains into the para-aortic and pre-aortic lymph nodes. And nerve supply is by the sympathetic nerves through the aortic and renal plexus. And the testis, if you studying about the testis, you have to know how the descent of the testis also will be happening. So before second month itself, we have testis is developed in the retroperitoneal posterior abdominal wall. From there, its destination is at the scrotum because of the temperature differences. So from there we have a band, fibromuscular band, it attached from the lower part of the testis to the base of the scrotum. Not only to the base of the scrotum, it also attaches to the pubic symphysis, and then you have the perineum, and also to the, sometimes it may be to the anterior superior iliac spine, the lower part of the fibromuscular band, that is called as the gubernaculum testis. Whereas in the upper part of the gubernaculum testis attaches to the lower part of the testis and also to the processus vaginalis. Processus vaginalis is nothing but the peritoneal sac. So this connection from the testis to the scrotum, that is called as gubernaculum testis, it draws the process vaginalis and also testis down towards the iliac fossa at the level of the iliac fossa in the 4th month, and into the deep inguinal ring in the 5th month, and inguinal canal in the 7th month, and it enters into the superficial inguinal ring into the 8th month, and into the scrotal sac by the end of the 9th month. So that is how we have descent of the testis along with the process vaginalis and the gubernaculum testis. Here the factors responsible for the descent of the testis are, major thing is gubernaculum testis, it pulls it down, and not only that, due to intra-abdominal pressure and also intra-abdominal temperature also, it descends. And sometimes you have the hormones produced by the fetal testis also helpful for the descent of the testis. And due to fetal growth also it happens. So this is about the descent of the testis. If any congenital abnormality takes place in the descent of the testis, if we don't see any testis here in the scrotal sac, we call them as a cryptorchism. We don't see any testis here, cryptorchism. Suppose one testis descends down and another will be little bit above only, we call them as a monocryptorchism, monarchism, not monocryptorchism. So if only one testis is present in the scrotal sac, we call it as a monarchism. Sometimes what happens is the testis can be obstructed in the deep inguinal ring, so at that time we have undescended testis will be there. And ectopic testis. So ectopic testis means throughout this route it may be stopped at any place, inguinal canal, superficial inguinal ring, so in the perineum, so it can be at any place other than the scrotal sac. So that is called as the ectopic testis. And sometimes what happens is we have process vaginalis after it reaches the scrotal sac, the proximal part, the upper part totally disintegrates, only the lower part will be seen, and that is called as a process vaginalis. Whereas the gubernaculum also, it persists the smaller part, that is called as the scrotal ligament. Sometimes while during the descent of the testis, the upper part of the process vaginalis will be left over. So at that time we have that becomes the weakness or weakened area in the abdomen, and it helps the intestinal organs to enter into the deep inguinal ring, that is called as hernias. Inguinal hernias are common when there is process vaginalis is patent. So this is about the testis.